Release the Kraken!
Welcome back, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how to do the boots. Now, if you're continuing on from our last one, you'll notice some changes that I made to the elf in between videos here. I fixed up the collar. I didn't like the old pattern that I had, so I went ahead and just redid it. You're welcome to do that if you like. I added a little bit of an open chest and some collarbones, and I adjusted the neck just a little bit. Again, it's not something you have to do, but I didn't like the old look. I also raised the pants up a little bit here, and using the grab brush and move, I move the waistline down some. And that I did using the grab brush, and then moving the waist as I went. Okay. It's easier to move larger chunks of the body at a lower resolution, so I did go down in subdivision, so all the way down to the base, and then moved it from there. But anyway, continuing on, I'm going to go over to the boots here. I'm going to start laying down the foundation for those. So grab my layers, make sure I'm in painting. Let's see, I'm doing tans and browns. I think I'm going to do the same kind of brown. Maybe I'll do like a black leather. I think black leather looks good. So for the leather effect, I'm going to do my projection again, except I'll do that off of a stencil. So I'll say stencil, scroll over to my textures. I did actually grab a burlap texture, which is this one. I was going to use it on the tunic, but I decided not to. And then this one is the leather. I'm going to hop over here to find a good leather to use on the boots. I kind of like that one. Go ahead and copy that. New document. And I will paste that in. This is kind of a nice larger texture, so you got more options here. Save as. I'll do this as leather 2 PNG. And then add stencil, leather 2. There we go. Alright, using S, I will adjust the thing, so S and right click. I'll zoom in on here. And that should be for sculpting. I think I'll do like a leather spray. Take the brush down. I don't want to make this all puffy, so I want to adjust this a little bit. Maybe 0.5. Just very gently kind of go over. Alright, turn my stencil off. Just kind of double check. I'm not really worried about these little cracks that I left over, just because it could be, you know, more natural. I missed a spot right in here, so I'm going to turn the stamp back on. So that part is textured. Now the little fold over on the boot is not always the same as the outer part. This is usually like a softer material. So I think I'm going to do some like fabric creases. And then for this I'll do leather. So let's do some creases in the fabric for that. I'm going to go ahead and grab a, what do I want? I'm going to do a stamp. And grab these little fibers, kind of the same thing I did with the hair. You're welcome to look through to see if there's something else you like, or you can create your own. And then for this, I'm going to use, let's try an imprint. So with an imprint, whenever you click and drag, it creates like a tile. And when you let it go, it creates the imprint, like so. Go ahead and choose the one that I want. Click and drag. And it'll do the imprint. Now, if I hold Control, it'll go in. So if I change that, hold down Control, it'll carve that into the fabric, or into the material. You can also set this to randomize, so that your pattern is different each time. You can also adjust your horizontal rotation. And flip it. I'll add a little bit of creases and depressions to it. And in some areas I'll go and I'll smooth. Maybe under here, because the strap is pulling on this, you'll have creases going this way. Anyway, I'm not going to go too crazy on that, but I will texture the belt. Let's go ahead and grab my stencil. I'll get the other leather type. Get my other brush. What was I using before? I think I was using spray. Just very gently paint this onto here. Now if you find that whenever you're painting you're not seeing anything, you might be inside your model, so just double check that. I'll zoom in just a tad over here. And then for here, other texture on that. Now that I have the texture that I want in there, let's go ahead and start painting. So I've got the paint tools, paintbrush. It's a shame it didn't keep my history. I'll take this brown color. I'm going to make this like a darker, almost black. And that's going to be the base of the boot. And then the boot, the sole of the boot's going to actually be like more of a rubber, like a dark black. So add a new paint layer. This will be the boot. It doesn't matter if I hit the sole any, because I'm going to paint the sole a much darker black. So if I hit the sole a little bit, it's alright. Remember, large things first, and then go in and do all of your refinements. So now that most of the body, or most of the boot is painted up, I can go in and get these really tight edges. This next one will be the boot top. So make a new layer, boot top. This will be a lighter tan. I'm going to steal the color from this. Move that up on the bar a little bit. Alright, start painting here. For these tighter spots, I'll go ahead and dial my brush size down. I'm not sure how, but my cat's hair gets everywhere. And it like gets inside the laser for the mouse, and then I can't paint. I'm like, why is the mouse going weird? Now you don't have to be super crazy accurate on some of this stuff because, like under here, nobody's really going to see that. But if it breaks your little heart to not do it, you know, it's up to you. My wife says all the time, it breaks my little heart. There's the boot from a distance. Shaping up very nicely. I'm going to use the same brown for the belt. So down here. Just have like an array of colors here. So to get that brown, since I no longer have it stored, I'm going to go ahead and sample it from here. Some color. Get my eyedropper. Take it from there. This is going to be the boot belt. Or bootstrap. Bootstrap. It is the bootstrap paradox. See what I did there? Alright, let's go ahead and start painting the bootstrap. The unfortunate side is the bootstrap is very, I guess, very specific in here, so there's not a lot of large areas to work off of. I have to be very precise with it. Take my brush size down just a little bit. You can kind of see as I'm painting this doesn't make sense, right? Why would it get thicker here than it does there? But whatever. One of those things to pay attention to. I'm going to chalk it up to maybe this is being squished, you know, between that. But if you're doing this as a production piece, you'd have to go back and fix that. Because chances are, if you're doing it for production, you're doing it for somebody else. And they're going to be like, hey, what's that? So. To save yourself the grief later on, you're better off cleaning it now than later. Okay, so this part is pretty thick. I'll just go ahead and get most of it. I am using a bigger brush, but I'm using the edge of the brush because the edge of the brush is a little bit softer. so I can cover a wide area with the edge, and it kind of softens out as it goes. Now, good texture work is going to be one of those things that can save a bad model. So if you have a very rough, not so good looking model, you can usually clean it up in the texturing process. Not always. If you have a really, really bad model and the geometry is just no good to work with, then there's nothing you can do. But for some things, texturing is usually the saving grace. This is the boot strap buckle. I'm going to use the gold that I used from the earlier buckle. Grab my color picker. Using a very small brush in this case because this is just a very tight thing to get in on. Alright, so from a distance, not too shabby, you can see what it is. And then the last thing to do for this would be the actual sole. Go ahead and just get that. So for the sole, I'm going to do this black leather, but I'm going to do a much darker black. Not quite all the way black, but very close. Boot sole. Up my brush size just a tad. And I start painting this. Get all the big stuff first, because I have a lot of surface area, you know. And you can do this any color you want. You can do like a wooden brown, or you can do like a rubber. Alright, so get into those tighter spaces. And for this, I'm trying to keep it as crisp as I can. Just because the sole of a boot is very straight. It doesn't wobble all that much. Like the shape of it doesn't meander. It's pretty consistent all the way through. And then for that white line, because the heel is actually, or the sole is on top, I can paint the boot color and not have to worry about overlapping the sole. So I'm going to grab the boot layer here, grab the boot color, and that I can just paint on and not worry about any overlap. And there we go. So the boots are tied up. In the next tutorial, we'll go ahead and do the hair. And I think we'll be about ready to start setting up the skeleton and getting him rigged. Alright, so go ahead and save it here, and I will see you in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you've enjoyed the video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions for future videos, make sure you leave them down in the comments. I upload new content every Sunday, and I release content every Wednesday. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. Get content early. I also have official merch, Lame Duck Studio merch. It does exist. They do exist. So make sure you stick around for anything new, and I will see you next time.